it's all fine. You set it up and then pow.
I know, right? That's totally what I was thinking.
Don't do that.
Okay, good morning, Annie.
Good morning, Carrie.
It is Friday, November the 5th. Can you believe it's November?
I was thinking that yesterday, it is, or on Monday when I was curling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh my goodness, here we are back another season and we're curling, and it's like, I just didn't, where did October go?
Where did the whole last 21 months go?
Oh man.
Well, it's the year it's the 21 months that's never ended.
And never ended.
And yet it never happened in so many ways.
But then it's still the changes of rules, right? Like, I think that's what I'm, yeah. It's the,
yes.
the fatigue of this rule and that rule, and can you and can't you, and I mean,
yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, you can. Here, no, you can't.
There. And maybe we do this, and have you tried that? And I have a mask for every season, every activity, everything that I will ever need. I mean, I have masks everywhere because you never know when you're going to need this kind. I have them blinged, I have them plain, I have them that do this, I have that. I had never thought I would have masks as a fashion statement.
Have you seen those ones that they've got the LED lights in them, so when you talk, the mouth does this?
No.
I know.
Oh! I so want that.
That would be very cool. Yeah. So it's I don't know. It just the lights light up, and so that you've got this like moving mouth. The other one that I thought that was so cute was it's like this chicken beak.
Okay.
And so then when you talk,
it moves.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, you are at Friday Crumbs from the
Pop-Tarts.
Ta-da!
What are we going to talk about when we can't talk about COVID and masks and social distancing?
Well, as
and
we
all
know,
of that.
there will be something else, right?
Well, there always will be.
Something will
That's
come
true.
along and say, yeah, this is what you're going to talk about.
But you know what the one consistency is?
What?
Through all of this?
What?
God.
No, really?
Yes, true. Yeah. The one thing that we can be assured of is that we can go back to scripture and find times that may not have been called COVID, that may not have been named the political situations we find ourselves in, all of those things, but are situations where our ancestors have walked through turbulent times and been able to come through it with God.
But don't you feel recently, maybe it's November, I don't know, a little bit more calmness? We're not quite as tied up in knots as we once were.
Oh,
I'm sensing
so. I mean,
that.
September, right? September's always a bad month for sort of everything starting back up, like school's starting back up, and there was this incredible, unconscious, I think, hope that when September, when school started up, people would feel a little bit more normal. And I hate using that word because it's nothing normal. Normal wasn't normal before.
Right.
But it was a rhythm we understood and we knew. It was like putting on those comfy sweatpants, right?
Yeah.
They may not look great, but boy, do they ever feel awesome.
I'm just getting that sense that we're kind of
coming in through that a little bit?
Yeah, that it's just not quite about and around in my world. It's not quite as tense-filled as it was. There's times, yes, absolutely. But I think maybe we're used to change. What?
I also think, though, that there's some hope, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we hear about some of the decisions that are being made at the government level, right? Doug Ford's talking about, like, we're no longer just projecting 3 weeks or 3 days. He's talking about what might happen in March if we continue on the same trajectory, which of course that leads a lot of hope to people. And
maybe that's it.
Like, if we're constantly planning just a week ahead,
then
it's really hard to step back from the day-to-day crisis and really hard to bring in sort of that hopeful expectation. But you step back and you look forward. Bishop Todd was saying this, I think you were there. When you think about what do you want in the next 5 years? What do you want to see happen in the next 10 years? Right?
I don't know.
But if we begin to cast our vision out that way again, it removes the this of the moment, because let's face it, that's what our lives have been at the present, and it allows us to, no matter what's happening to me now in this moment, 5 years down the line, I still see the church doing this, or I still seeing ministry happening in this way. It's like when we plant a tree, right? Year by year, we can look at it and think, oh, it's only got 2 more leaves than it had last year, or that tree's getting bigger. Why isn't this tree? But if you think about what that tree's going to look like in 20 years, then there's hope in that for not just yourself, but the future.
That's such a good segue into our psalm for today.
Isn't that exactly what Psalms speak to? So
our psalm today, appointed for today on Friday, is Psalm 98. And I picked the scripture reading today because I'm sensing some level of hope that Carrie talked about. And I think that we need to be joyful in that hope. And I love the Psalms because sometimes if you're feeling kind of dragged out, read the Psalms.
They're beautiful.
They're happy. So Psalm 98 in whatever translation you have.
So how are we going to read this one?
I don't know. Why don't you do 1, 2, 3? I'll do 4, 5, 6. You do 7, 8, 9. How's that?
1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
So this is Psalm 98, which is praise the Judge of the world. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song, for he has done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have gotten him victory. The Lord has made known his victory. He has revealed his vindication in the sight of the nations. He has remembered his steadfast love and faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the victory of our God.
Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Break forth into joyous song and sing praises. Sing praises to the Lord with the lyre and the sound of melody, with trumpets and the sound of the horn. Make a joyful noise before the King, the Lord.
Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who live in it. Let the floods clap their hands, let the hills sing together for joy at the presence of the Lord, for he is coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with righteousness and the people with equity.
You're end of the song.
Isn't that wonderful?
Isn't that great?
Imagery there.
I think that was what, and right now when I picked it, of course, we're recording this beforehand. The lake is really noisy.
Yes.
Like it has been really windy and it's really noisy. So even with my windows shut in the cottage, it's noisy. So it's when, the sea will clap their hands. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm getting that. Yeah. I'm hearing that. Yeah. But did you hear the last line? I love the last line. I think it's something that we all should kind of aspire to. And not that he will judge the world, but he will judge the world with righteousness and the peoples with equity. Isn't that all that we want, to be considered equal? Equal in the sight of God, equal in the sight of community, equal in the sight in everything. And it just, that psalm just made me happy.
I love the fact that it takes all of creation and brings it into community, right? So often we talk about humanity having dominion over creation, right? And we know that we've fallen down in that just a little bit, in the sense that, so we are called to, isn't that funny? I just talked about trees too. We are called to care for the earth so that what we have, we hand it on to our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and for generation upon generation. And so what it is that affects us, it can't just be about what affects us. It has to be with this longer vision. And there we go with that longer vision again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Coming out of the crisis mode or survival mode of these last 21 months, casting our vision forward with hopeful expectation that regardless of what happens in our time, the world will continue. right? The church will continue. The mission of Christ will continue, but in complete community.
And I think that's something that even Bishop Todd, when he did meet with us, we talked about what is our mission of the church. And immediately, I bet you if I said the word church, you have a vision of the stained glass windows. If we turned the camera, you'd see the altar. That's awesome. And that's a beautiful vision to have. But what is the vision of the church collective? Meaning, it's not this building. It's not this place. It is who we are.
That's right.
And how we go out into the world.
And I think these places are, you know, and a lot of people say things about, the church building and how we just focus on that. But I think we need to be more generous in the sense that when we look at these buildings, they weren't built to our glory. They were built to the glory of God. So we took our hands and our minds and our energies and our passions and our talents, and we tried to bring together things that were beautiful and rich and awe-inspiring to offer up to God as these meager sort of expressions of our love and awe for God. And I think that's what our ancestors intended when these buildings were built. I don't think there was ever the intention that we would build them and hide within them. I think what happened though, just like those pair of comfy sweatpants, we get comfy, right? We get comfy in our pew, we get comfy in our slotted time, we get comfort, we find comfort in a day of the week that we know is set for worship, and we settled in. And this pandemic, I think, is helping us
where I was gonna
to
go.
just shake us all up and say, you! It's more than just Sunday morning. It's more than just the hour, whatever day of the week it is. It's everything. It's the whole world around us. And we're called to clap our hands in delight. We're called to dance and sing and rejoice.
But look at when we have services that aren't in a building. Whether they're outside, we had some on the Labyrinth, we had some down by the lake. We've had services everywhere. And how many people walk away with a much deeper feeling of awe and wonder and joyfulness because they've met together as community in a completely different place.
Yes.
And it's the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that where the psalm is talking about the joyful noise, the fact that we don't, even though we're in a building right now, because it's a little chilly and windy outside.
It is.
We have a safe space to be in, but it doesn't need to be here. It could be anywhere.
No,
right?
and when we dismiss at the end of the service, it is always like the service itself, the rite itself has ended in this moment, right? We do that every Sunday or every time we gather, but our service to the world has not ended.
That's right.
And so we take what we've been filled up with here and we take that out into God's created world.
Out we go.
Right? Out we go. Right? To be shining lights, the hands, the feet, the voice. We're God's work at work in the world. And it's done through all of us.
So, with that beautiful note of taking things out into the world, I know you've been watching this on your whatever device, wherever. So go out and listen to the lake if you live by one, or listening to the rustling of the corn stalks if you live by a field, or just go out and raise your face to the sun and say, thank you for this day and the joy it brings.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of our dismissal at church.
Right.
We look up and we thank God. We look back and we thank God. So we look up and see God. See God. Look back
and thank God.
Look around and serve God. But look forward and trust God.
There we go. See,
there you go.
There.
So on that note, as you go about in the world this week, being the hands and feet and smiling faces and joyful voices of Christ, blessings. Enjoy the week. Stay safe, right? We're still wearing our masks.
Yeah, we are.
We're still socially
Doing our
distancing. We're still washing our hands endlessly because it's also flu season. And we will see you at church on Sunday or Wednesday, in person or online. Know that we're thinking of you and keeping you all in our prayers. So take care and bye now.